All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first Breakfast with the Experts for our spring semester. It is my pleasure this morning to introduce Mr. Randy Hensley. Mr. Hensley comes to us from Coalition for Kids. Just to give you a background on Coalition for Kids, it is an after-school literacy program, a faith-based after-school literacy program that focuses on underserved children in the Johnson City area. It started in 1998, about 25 kids. Now in 2017, there's 10 locations, and they have about 400 kids. And they're looking to, I think there's a position to grow here pretty soon as well. So you guys are going to hear about that this morning. Let's see. Randy also is the pastor of the Rock Fellowship. They started in 1994. Did I get that right? Yeah, 94. Okay, good. He's also married, 27 years to Melanie. They have 6 kids. He beat me. Let me just say this. My first introduction to Randy was coming over to talk about internships, and he thought he'd be a really good speaker. He had a big battle sword in his office, and just thought he'd be a pretty dynamic guy to have here. So please welcome Mr. Hensley.
It is not a great reward to beat him with kids, I'll say that. 6 kids is not an easy task. Go out this morning about that. There is a cost to doing something like that. I had our first kid, who's 28, was a little girl, and my wife wanted a boy. And so, well, unfortunately, this is where you go off. Let me turn my phone off. Unfortunately, her father died when she was 8 years old by accident, and her brother died a year later to the day by another accident. And so in her head, as some of us tend to do, she wanted a boy to remember them by. So our second child came, and it was a girl. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I mean, who wants a boy? When you got dads get girls, it's like, this is a cool place to be. And so the third child came, and it was a girl. And I said, it's possible that we've had enough kids, don't you think? It's going to be pretty tough to walk through this. And so our fourth child came, and it was a girl. And I said, she said, I want a boy. And I said, well, this is really a struggle. I'm feeling like it's a struggle anyway. And so I said, honestly, you know, I need to think about this. So I said, can we please get a boy? And of course, we got a boy on the 5th one. When that boy got here, William became known as Prince William. And I thought he's really going to be spoiled in a way which is going to ruin his life. Obviously, 4 girls, 1 boy, and she's wanted that boy all this time. So 2 years later, really, within the next year, we became, I had been associated with a young man at the Coalition. He would come to church on Sundays, lived in a really bad community, bad home life, was probably 16 years old at the time, and I heard a rumor through the children that we worked with at the Coalition that there was a new little girl in town, and that she was having sex with all boys in the grass, in the fields, in the apartments where we lived. And the next thing I learned was, y'all have no clue how this is connected to you. It's okay, hang in there, I got you. The next thing that took place was, I found out that this young man that I had known for a long time and really had a struggle in his life, connected with her, and they were living together. She was 13, and he was 16 or 17, and they were living with his mom and her boyfriend right down the street from my office. And within that year, after we had our 5th kid, William, she got pregnant. So she's 13, pregnant, with a 16-year-old boyfriend. And she has him when she's 14. And we got to go to the hospital with them because their families so hated each other that they didn't know how to deal with this. So we had an African-American boy, white girl, and they didn't like each other, families. So we went to the hospital, and my wife says, there's something about this baby that we're going to be a part of. You year later, they put the grandmother in jail for abusing the great-grandmother. When they put the great-grandmother in the hospital, they had to put the mother and the 1-year-old, therefore a 14-year-old, and 1-year-old in foster care because they had nowhere to go. When they put them in foster care, they found out that the baby had never made a connection to the mother. So here is an infant, a year old or less. Oh, you got to I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, right. Okay, I was a student once. Just kidding. So they realized the 1-year-old had not made a connection to the mother, and at that point, if you've never experienced this picture, that baby was about 12 months old. They called us because the mom and dad didn't want that baby going to either family. They so despised each other, and they said, "Would you all take this child temporarily?" And we said, "Yes." So we got this baby that when he came into our house, when he sat on the floor, that's all he did. He never cried, never made a noise, never laughed, no facial expressions, because he had never experienced any form of love from his mother, because she had been abused by her mom, who was the abuser of the family. So she didn't know how to love him. She just knew how to carry him from one spot to the next and hand him off. So after about 6 weeks, Dominic began to respond to my wife and the way that she cared for him. And at that point, if she didn't hold him, he cried. And he cried for 6 weeks, nonstop, if she wasn't holding him. And somewhere around that window of time, and I'm not turning this into any crazy story, but I have got a faith background, my friend kept saying to me, "You're supposed to be the father to this child." And I kept saying, he said, "God wants you to." And I'd say, "Dude, God ain't talking to me, so leave God out of this, okay?" I got 5, I don't need 6. And one Sunday, he walked up to us and said, "I know you're tired, but you can't quit." He said, "We just want to pray for you." And so they said, they prayed a prayer of encouragement over us, and we carried the baby to the van, put him in the car seat, and he never cried another day. Weirdest thing I've ever seen. He's 13 now. What we found out was that he had gotten shaken at 6 months old. He's 100% brain damage, where his grandmother had shaken him when she babysat him. His brain got damaged from the front to the back. That's how you know it was shaken. He's not supposed to be able to walk, eat without a feeding tube, or talk. But at 13, he won't quit talking. He runs into everything, and he eats like a horse, but doesn't gain weight because he's got a lot of damage and he takes medicine all day long, 4 times a day, 36 pills, all kinds of treatments, that type of stuff. But he is our 6th child, which kept my 5th child from being spoiled. So we've had Dominic for 12 years, and that's how we got our 6th child. I didn't really have an intent to tell that story, but like I said, my presentations aren't always planned very well. That's why I refuse PowerPoint program. So now I tell you that story for, I guess, a couple of reasons. I've used that story before. One is, one of the reasons we do the Coalition for Kids, and please hear me when I say that, I'm the founding director of the Coalition. That was 18 years ago. By being the founding director 18 years ago in Johnson City, I may very well be one of the most senior directors of any nonprofit in the area. It's shocking to me. This is a life lesson for you. You can truly be great if you just go to work every day. It's shocking because all I've done is go to work every day, and now all of a sudden I'm the only guy that's still at his job. Every other nonprofit has changed directors multiple times, time after time after time. Guess who has grown the most? We have. Guess what? Consistent leadership. Not necessarily me, but being one guy there all the time, it makes a massive difference to not only have consistent leadership, but consistent thinking that's the same way, nonstop, always trying to figure out how to go forward, always trying to figure out how to do it better, always trying to figure out what your goals are and how to verbalize it and how to get more people on board. I used to say that the reason we do what we do when we started was because we don't need more 13-year-olds being abused that the school system never responded. You see, we got Dominic because the 13-year-old never got spotted that she was living in an abused household. After we had Dominic, we went to their house one day. They lived in a trailer in Johnson County, right across the Carter County line. I've never been there before. I'm from Mountain City. Can you say Mountain City? I'm just seeing if you're a little way. That's right, interaction. I saw it in a church service one time where they make you say it back. That's kind of weird. So we pulled up to a trailer. This is a true story. I wish you had the picture. I wish I had a PowerPoint. We pull up to a trailer that the ground is nothing but dirt, mud, or dirt if it rains, mud. The trailer looks like it's about 30 years old. It's horrid. The trash, this is the walk in the front door of the trailer. When you open the door, the trash pile right outside the door was probably 6 foot tall. They literally would open the door and just throw their trash out. The dogs were tied at the corners on chains or ropes that would run just far enough for them not to touch each other, but they could go all a major distance as far as their activity goes. And we walked in, they had about 1,000 videos against the wall. VCR, stuff. Didn't want to sit on the chairs. The bugs, the nastiness, and I'm sitting here thinking, this was the worst living condition, and I've seen some rough stuff. If you've ever gone to Tyler Apartments, does anybody know where Tyler Apartments is here? Mountain City? Okay, y'all need an education. Yeah, no, you need a real education. I appreciate what these guys are doing, but you need a real education, okay? This goes back to the reason we started a coalition. Tyler Apartments is the only reason the coalition exists today. Because there was a man who was a mentor of mine who was given a pastorate of a church that was right beside Tyler Apartments. And this is how he started. This is a cool story. He said when he got to that church idea was they had hired an architect to build a wall to protect it from Tyler Apartments. Sounds like a church, right? Isn't this a good story? And he said, well, why are we building a wall? Why don't we do something to build a relationship? And so a church of 50 people with no money and a few old people. No big deal, Dr. Wyckoff. I'm not talking about old people in a bad way. And a few, I'm just kidding, okay? And a few old people, now I'm talking, these guys had nothing, no capacity. They got together and they said, what can we do that it would take a miracle to make happen? And here's what they came up with. A 20-year plan that said 3 things. I want to build a playground in that apartment complex that we're going to keep up. I don't know if you understand playgrounds and the cost of playgrounds, but they are tens of thousands of dollars from a group of people that had nothing. They wanted to build a building that would hold, that they wanted to call it a prayer place, but it's really like a clothing exchange where you could come and buy clothes or for 50 cents or get food, and people would help you with whatever your life's issues were. And they wanted to start a community center for children. Okay, that was their 20-year plan. That they couldn't do. There's no way. Within the first 5 years, they built a playground, and they bought this little property with this building. Today's on God's Corner. So if you have like clothing or books or food items, you can take there, and then they'll distribute it out to the community. And right down below there, we started a program called the Coalition for Kids that started working with only kids from Tyler Apartments. That's why we started. Because one guy, smaller people said, we got to do something to make a difference. With no money, no capacity, and no collaboration from the community. And then he said, how are we going to do this? And they got a few people together that started the board of directors of the Coalition for Kids. And within that board of the Coalition for Kids became some folks that are still serving on that board today. Mitch Cox is one of them. He would be considered the founder. He was our financial influencer. I don't know how many of you have ever thought about going in the nonprofit world, but I get interviewed on a regular basis every year from people who want to start something. They always say, how did you do this? And I always say, you got to have somebody that financially undergirds you on the front end for at least 10 years. And they go, okay, how do you do that? Well, I'm not sure how you do that. You have to have a good idea that's got good capacity for results of impacting somebody that you think needs impact, and that somebody else will say, I agree. Does that make sense? And here's what we had. We had kids that had nowhere to go because they couldn't ride a bus to the boys' club. They couldn't get to the girls' club because the buses wouldn't run after they closed, so they couldn't get back home, so they couldn't go. So they had this whole community of people within this one apartment complex that had nowhere for their children to go. They got a couple hundred apartments. It's called Tyler Apartments. It's the worst living conditions in Johnson City in a housing authority, except it's privately owned. It is the oldest privately owned, state subsidized housing facility in the state of Tennessee. Now, I want you to get in your mind what it means by being the oldest. That ain't cool no more. It ain't historic, okay? It means run down. It means painted on the outside, but not on the inside. I've done funeral services in apartments with people hanging out windows smoking cigarettes because they couldn't go to the funeral home because I knew the families and they knew I did the preaching thing, and they said, would you? And I'd go. It's some of the worst conditions in the world. And so we started the coalition because those kids didn't have anywhere to go. Nothing else. There was never a plan to get to 400. Just like there was never a plan to get to 6 at my house. I only wanted 1, okay? But we got to 6 without a plan. We got to 400 without a plan. But the deal was that as things went, we were, in a sense, focused on how do we change as times go, and how does our thinking change as times go. And so just as a dad and a mom, we looked after one and said, yeah, we could do 2 now. We took on 25 kids from Tyler Apartments our first year, and then our second year we took on 25 more. And we raised a little more money. We had $130,000 on our first budget. Today we've got $1.2 million that comes in. And people say, he is so good working with children. And I go, I wish I could work with children. All I do is try to raise money. Because that's what you do when I get people all the time that walk in and go, I just think I want to work with children. I say, how much money do you want to make? I go, is $7.50 okay an hour? Well, they go, I can't do that. Well, I said, well, maybe you can come in on a supervisor's level. You can make $9 to $12 an hour there. And they said, well, that'd be closer. I said, but you don't get to work with children then. You have to work with adults who work with children. Okay? And they go, well, I don't know. I thought you were called to work with children. Now you want to work with adults. Because, this is really about money, right? You know why I said that? Because many of you will fool yourself on what the truth is that you want to do. Let me tell you something my mentor told me when I started the coalition. He said, if this isn't really what you're about, it will eat your lunch and spit you out. Because the poor will never leave us. And that's the truth. And he said, if this is not your passion, I promise you they will destroy you because they will never quit coming. And if you want me to pick up my phone and show you the text, the lady who doesn't have electricity was yesterday morning. One came by yesterday afternoon. My kid, I can't get him to mind. I'm about to lose my apartment. They just go on and on. This is after 18 years. If you step in the world to truly help those who can't help themselves, I promise you, you better mean it. Because if you don't, you'll be like every other social worker that walks in and out in whatever category. You'll last your 3 years and you'll go on your way and say, this wasn't for me. But I will tell you, you got to step into it to find out whether it's truly yours or not. You can't just guess at it. But once you step into it, when you start helping people, there will be no other job you can do that will create in you a greater purpose of fulfillment when it comes to walking, when you go home and walking in your house and going, that was an impact on somebody's life today. That was really kind of cool. Today, my kids, when they get to the coalition, here's what we are. We are simply their family. When, as we know, 42% of the kids in Washington County in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade do not read on scale, 97% of the kids in the coalition read on scale in 3rd grade. You know why 97% of my kids do and 42% of their kids don't? There's only one difference. And it's way too simple. So educators sometimes have a real problem with me when it comes down to this, because I would tell you it's really, really simple. It's time, expectations on boundaries, and it's not if you're going to do your homework, it's when are you going to get it done. And we put people with it. And so when you walk into our program, we simply become their family. Here's one of the coolest things in the world that people never see who we are. They have a place that they sit just like you are right now. There's nobody in this room sitting here nervous about being in this space. You are safe. Our kids do not go home and feel safe. Not our kids. You might know what that's like, because some of you in here, odds or statistics-wise, you grew up that way. My kids, I would say 70% of my kids are a little uncomfortable when they go home and who's going to be there and what's going to be happening. But when they come to Coalition, they feel just like you do right here. Bored at the guy who's talking. Are you awake at all? Come on. Are you awake at all? All right. So they walk in, they feel safe. As they feel safe, they respect the people that draw their lines. We have kids that don't behave, there's no doubt, but there's only about 10% of them. And our kids do what they're expected to do, because we do it over and over and over and over every day, the same way, the same way, the same way, the same way. Sometimes it's just new activity. So we work really hard at our education focus. And our education focus goes like this. It's got a name. That doesn't matter. You're not going to grasp that. Awesome Kids Club has got AKC. We use letters on all of them, AKC. And so they come in right after school. And we do this in housing authorities. We'll use church buildings. We're not in any right now. We use the elementary schools in the city. And now we've got a brand new facility over on Susanna Street. Does anybody know where Susanna Street is? Does anybody know where the Coalition for Kids is? All right, can we get them A's? Does anybody know where the P's is? That's another thing. So anyway, we're near the mall. How about that?
The case books. You got the case books over there.
Case books, the mall, Waffle House. I'll get you on that one, right? Everybody knows Waffle House too. All right, just forget it. Word drops down. Look it up. And we just got a brand new facility donated to us. Okay, after 17 years, a guy said, I'm supposed to, can I say it that way? I'm supposed to do this, and he bought the old Tri-City Christian School property, which is a 33,000 square foot building facility, one with a big gymnasium and a kitchen. You got to come by and check all that out. Classrooms, it was formerly a school, and a second building that we turned in, it was a brick building, one's a metal building, one's newer than the other, 9 acres of land. He bought that for about $700,000. We did a renovation for about $700,000. And then he said, I want you to have this and bring your program into it. I said, great. That happened about a year ago, last March when it comes down to it. So not about a year ago. So we moved into that facility, and that was really cool because it's a really nice place to operate out of. But the reality is we're almost at max capacity within the facility, and we have kids in programs outside, like at Mountain View Elementary School, Keystone Housing Project over at Southside Elementary School. We continue to have programs outside because our only growth capacity is outside our facility. But that's what we do. Our kids get out of school wherever they are, and they go into, if they're at Keystone, they get off the bus and they go into the space that we have for them there. If they come to our place, they go to the gym, they get a snack. And then once they get a snack and they get done, they have a little talk time, guess where they go? Come on, I really try to guess. I know it's a real tough question. That's correct. What? Say it really loud, like you're really meant to be. Oh, you good job. Give her a hand. She is so strong today. Homework, that's right. Y'all knew that, didn't you, right? She's going, please don't point at me. I don't want to talk this morning. It's 8 o'clock. We do homework. It's pretty simple, right? They're 7 years old, or 8 years old, or 9 years old. First through 8th grade. We've gone 2 grades in the last year. We may go to 9th and stop, but I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And I need a clock just to keep up with where I'm at. So they walk through the process of coming in, they get their snack, then they go into homework time, and homework time orients from everything from reading, special reading programs, because we kind of focus on reading a lot, but it's really about all their homework, and different things can happen during that time, especially on Fridays, because what happens with kids on Fridays and homework? That's right, there is none. So what do you do then? Well, that's when you do extracurricular programming, such as, coming up, we'll talk about this later, but this is some of the things. Teaching kids what good touch, bad touch is. Hands-On Museum brings their mobile truck in and they do a program for our kids. We can do anything from character teaching, behavior teaching, how to deal with social settings, all kinds of different nationally accredited programming or curriculum that we will buy and bring in and be taught with. We just got a $50,000 grant to buy, purchase items to create a STEM lab. The STEM lab will have everything from a 3D printer to a flight simulator, robotics programming, to a music recording studio, and an energy program. So our kids will have access to something that probably no other elementary school kids will have access to, and that'll be kind of cool when the schools are asking us if they can come to our place, won't it? But anyway, I'm sorry, you all are really kind of dead today, okay? Y'all ever kind of smile and laugh, or did y'all is school really like it was when I grew up? I thought it was going to be more fun this day. So anyway, so then there's now all that happens on Fridays when you're not doing homework, because you got to do something, and you need to continue to teach them. Now, some of the things we're going to do deal with smoking cessation and obesity, prevention, nutrition teaching, but we still do a lot of that anyway. We're just going to focus more on it coming up in the future, in the close future as far as that goes. So they get done with the work through their homework. They get done with homework. They can sometimes have some extra time. And according to the site, the facility, and the administration that they have, they can get some free time. They can, if they have enough, they'll go to the gym. At between 5 and 5:30, we end that program. It's over, and kids go home. Or kids stay at the facility that we have on site. But if you're in a school, they won't let you stay long, so you're out. So you either get picked up by your parents, or you get on our bus and get bused to our facility where we have supper waiting. Full supper every night. Just like a family sit down, you go through, you get your green beans and your mashed potatoes and a good biscuit, and chicken salad. I'm just kidding on chicken salad. Hot dog, everybody that corn dog, right? Maybe a piece of pizza. And they have supper, and they do supper between 5:30 and 6, sometimes 6:20. I'm not always sure about those times because we're running about 150 to 200 kids or so through that door. And then they break up in different groups according to age and usage of the facility, and then they do all these extracurricular things. Now, those extracurriculars at that point in time can either be done by my staff or by volunteers. So, if you really love cooking, and it looks like you're probably a cook, right? Am I right? I was kidding you. Can you not play along a little and act like I know what I'm talking about? So if you know if you like to cook, let's just pretend, okay? So if you like to cook, and you said, I think I'll volunteer at the coalition. I wonder if I could teach some kids how to cook. I love cooking spaghetti, and here's what we would do. We'd say, so how often do you want to do this? Well, I've only got like a day a week. Well, how long do you have? Well, about an hour. It'd take about an hour to do it. Okay, how many kids do you want to work with? 3 or 6 or 30. I don't know, whatever the number is, but okay, 6, you want to work with 6 kids. Okay, here's our window. When's our window? It's not during our education time. It's not during the daytime. They're in school. It is between after supper and between 7:30 and 8 when we take kids home. And we say, okay, come in every Wednesday or every Thursday or every Tuesday for 6 weeks because that's all you want to do it. And we'll give you 3, 6, or 30 kids to do that project, whether it's playing the guitar or learn how to play the piano or play the drum, get your hair cut. We got people who come and cut hair. We've got dental people who come in and check their teeth and do teeth cleaning. You name it, in some form at some time, we've probably done it or we want to, as far as that goes. And if it's warm weather, you know what a kid wants to do, right? Just want to go outside, dude. Okay, can we go outside? We built a $85,000 playground in 4.5 hours. Okay, it's really cool. 250 people in 4.5 hours from nothing but a plot of ground, and started at 10 o'clock and finished at, I guess it's 5:30. Finished around 3:30 that afternoon. 250 people on a grant we got from a foundation called Kaboom. So we have this brand new playground on our property, and we did that from, part of this title says, how do you bring together regional support from collaborating with the community. 250 people just came and organized, put together, and we built this playground. One of the coolest pictures in the world is watching this puppy go together from nothing but grass do a full-fledged playground on our outside property as far as our open green space. And that's what our kids do. They do that until about 7:30, whatever that is. It could be basketball, it could be kickball, it could be ETSU's soccer team coming in, or women's basketball coming in. They can all do special projects. We run about 600 to 800 volunteers a year. And we allow them to do everything from service projects to cleaning the floors to working with the kids, as far as that goes. And then summertime shows up, and everybody knows what we do in the summertime, right? We shut down, take a break, and just who needs us during the summertime? Yeah, it's always weirded me out, programs that have been shut down during the summertime when kids are home alone all day long. And so we open up in the summertime from 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you our program's free. Nobody pays. I have a fee system. It's just everybody lands in the no charge zone. Just so you know. I mean, there's a fee system. So if you're middle class, yeah, you're going to give me money. But, you know, it's real weird how people run in groups. Isn't it? I could really get into some stuff here and mess with you just a little bit. I'm not going to. But I would tell you that all our kids are free. 97.5% of our kids are totally free lunch at school. And that's basically what we go by. We're DHS. You know what that is? Does anybody know what that is? Department of Human Services license. And that's any daycare that you know of has to be licensed by the state of Tennessee through the Department of Human Services. We're also DOE licensed. Anybody know what that is? Say it loud, bro.
Education.
Yeah, Department of Education. And that's what your schools have to be licensed under. And we're licensed by both those. We're also the only place licensed by both those in the area in that regard, but mainly because it's really expensive to keep up, because your facilities have to maintain a level of criteria that's really kind of tough when it comes to the state. And so we walk that out. It also helps us some with some funding. And all our snacks and all our suppers, we get reimbursed from the government. Because of that, it creates about a $70,000 to $80,000 impact on us. A snack can get reimbursed about 86 cents a snack, and a meal can get anywhere from $1.85 to $2.10 as far as reimbursement. So every meal we serve gets reimbursed, but they also have criteria for every meal. It has to be a certain amount of everything. So it's all nutrition oriented. It's all required and checked the criteria to hit certain levels of nutritional values. We have to walk down all that. You can't just feed them corn dogs, right? We did that when we started, by the way. It was corn dogs and hot dogs every day. When we began, what I did was I would go to the community from churches and companies, and I would say, if y'all would come and feed supper, and they'd say, what do you mean? And I'd say, bring supper, okay? And so they would bring supper. So we had groups every day of the week that would carry supper in. So they would fix it at home or at the office or wherever. And they would walk in and they would sit up on our countertop and they would put supper out, and we'd tell them how many kids. They would serve it to the kids. And then we got licensed, and the licensure said that people couldn't bring food cooked in their homes in because of the dangers that could associate that. And I said, what? Are you kidding me? And then I got to thinking about it, and I said, have we really been doing this all this time? Because I'm like, have you seen some of the people that come in here? Yeah, I don't eat their food anymore. Give that to the kids. Are you kidding? I'm just kidding. So anyway, it was a struggle because in the beginning, it created a whole lot of support for the coalition because you got all these people coming in nonstop, bringing food. And guess what they did when they came in? They loved seeing those little children. And then we said, can't do it anymore. We're licensed now. The state of Tennessee just took all my volunteers, okay? And that really happened. People quit coming. They didn't come back either. It's not easy to keep that connection with people until you can give them an access point to serve in those arenas in which they can have the same experience that you know they could have. And that means they got to be able to be hands-on when it comes to those kids. And how do you impact those kids? So, let's go all the way back to the beginning. So why did we start what we started? Well, in my head, one is because I don't believe that we ought to have 13-year-olds running around that nobody has spotted anything in their life that's gone haywire, like the one that created the life of Dominic, my 13-year-old boy. It just makes no sense that nobody saw it. And somebody, if the school system didn't, but she was in an after-school program, I promise you we do, because we may call DHS probably twice a month. that's total abuse. That's simply on abuse case. That's horrid neglect cases. That's a kid. How about this? I'll give you a story of a kid who comes in every day. My staff takes a pair of his jeans and underwear home personally and washes to bring back, because the next day they know he will have used the bathroom expense. Because he watched his dad die on the couch, and he's never gotten over it. He's 8 years old. But there's no help, because they're not going to get help because they can't afford help. They don't know anybody to help them. So what do? You got to keep loving the kid, just like we did Dominic. See, one of the things I learned is after we got Dominic and realized that he had all this damage, we took all these special classes on how to deal with a 100% brain damaged child. And we got to be really good at it. And that's why he's as good as he is today, right? There were no classes. We just put him right in the middle of 5 other kids that didn't know any better but to love him like we did. And he became what he was in the midst of. It's just my story, that's all. So what I know with my kids at the Coalition is if we put them in the midst of a place where they have people who care for them, and that they have steady, safe, focused direction, guess what our kids start to become? Exactly what you want them to. Productive, safe, confident, capable. But I sometimes only have them an hour and a half to 3 hours out of 24. Because I have people all the time who look at me and go, what impact are you making? Well, I will tell you, we just got done with an 18-month evaluation by Dr. Maureen Mulroy that gives us a great evaluation on the impact we're making in kids' lives using a triangulation evaluation data. I don't know all these big words, I just let her do it, and we came out really good. How about that? And it dealt with administration, schools, teachers, parents, and kids. Walked us out, and so we do know what impact we're making, but still it's limited because you have a small window. So when we started, it was to work with Tyler Portman's kids, but today, at 400 plus kids, and really, it's going to how you look at those numbers. I've got 278 kids in the after-school education program, and then I have another program in the evening. It's got a different name. That's that extracurricular time. Where they do other things. I've got about 175 kids in that program. And so in the nonprofit world, how many of you know that you got to show numbers to impress people? It's just, people are going to give you money according to whether or not you can impress them or not. So people play with numbers all the time in the nonprofit world. I've struggled with this for years. So the reality is I have 278 kids in this education program. I have another 175 in this evening program. So how many kids have I got? Who's a math major? I got 448. No, really, I only have 278 because the 175 are the same kids. They're in a different program. But if you add them up, it sounds really cool, right? And that's what people say because they add all those numbers up. And I just learned the system. I'm just telling you, the nonprofit world's kind of crazy because everybody's after money. And you got to figure out how to write it so that people will say, wow. And then they'll give you money so that you can do what you do so you can impact more kids. But I know I'll never impact all the kids that come in my program. The point of it is, if I can impact 6 out of 10 and I got 600, I'll impact more than that number if I have 1,000. So my goal is how many kids can I get? Because I know my percentage. And if I can make that impact on my percentage, it's not about being really big. It's about knowing that more kids get impacted and their lives will be different if I can get them in a program, which means I got to get big. Not to be big, just impact on kids. And the only way I can do that is if I have people who decide that this is a mission in their life because they really want to make a difference in some form or fashion that has a capacity to really walk away when they go home and say, that was really cool. That today was really cool. Let me tell you what happened. And they tell the story of the little girl who they sat down beside at supper time and they caught her putting chicken down in her pocket of her dress. And when they said, what's going on? She was new. They didn't know her mom. And so she said, we don't have any food. So mom comes in. She has a hearing problem and speech impediment. And find out they're living in a U-Haul. Running from dad in North Carolina. Afraid to tell anybody. Afraid the kids would be taken. Which they would, wouldn't they? And so they don't get up at nighttime because they're hungry like I did last night at 3 in the morning and go eat a bowl of Cheerios. I did. Just so I could tell it in this program. And I was thinking about this all night long. I thought, what else could I do? So I'll get up at 3 and eat some Cheerios. No, I'll tell that story. That's what I'll do. Just so, she couldn't get up from anywhere because she was laying in the front seat of the U-Haul. With a mother who can't communicate, struggles so she can't get help, afraid to get help, and can't tell anybody. And a little girl, 8 years old, who's putting chicken in her dress pocket. So you know what we did? We turned them in. No, we got them help. We also fixed some food to take home with every night until we got them help and got them to people who could help them because we can't help everybody. But we can help her. Seashell story, y'all didn't know the seashell. I'm sorry, the starfish story. Please do something for me, acknowledge me in some form. Y'all didn't know the starfish story? Okay, pretty good. The rest of it need to grow up. Get on Facebook, you'll read it somewhere. I'm just kidding, really. I know you probably never heard of Facebook at your age, right? They don't do that anymore. Just don't get starfish story is the guy who walks down there all the starfish and he's picking them up, putting them back in, and he meets a guy, and the guy says, what are you doing that for? And he says, well, the starfish, they'll die if they don't get back in the water. He said, yeah, but look at their thousand of them. He said, what difference can you make? He picked one up and said, made a difference to that. Real old story that I'm amazed that, us old people had to retell and find out nobody's ever heard of. Great story, and I just came up with that. And so, now let me stop a minute. Our summertime program, by the way, does kind of the same thing, except we start in the morning at 7:30. We are always back. We registered, I think, 275. That's kind of the number for us. You got to stop there. It's a funding issue. They come in the mornings, and we go swimming twice a week. We divide the groups up into two places, so one group's on campus during the day that the other group's gone. So that's the only way we can manage that kind of number. So one group, we do breakfast in the morning. We do lunch at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and a snack in the afternoon around 3 before the kids go home. By 5:30, they're all gone. We'll go swimming twice a week. We'll go on an education field trip once a week somewhere. They will get free time. We will do everything from reading to just fun time outside to specific curriculums to some faith teaching, all of which is volunteer for them to pick where they want to go and be in whatever part they want to be in. One of the differences about the coalition and some of the other programs you're ever going to hear about as far as working with children is we are not a community center. We are not a place where you can come if you want to because we're in your area. You have to be referred, you have to be accepted, and you have to attend or we don't keep you. I don't believe you can make a difference in kids' lives by allowing them and their parents to use you as a daycare. Coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. So if they get out of my program when they consider my program, after a few misses, we'll ask you to either decide you're going to stay or you can go. I got too many kids that need us that will come because the parents will say, I really need them. And they will come and they will stay. And when they stay, I got a chance of making a difference. Won't make it every one of them right, but I'll make it one of them if I can get it and if I can keep it. And we can't do it for all of them. We can't do it for some sort of summer program kind of operates like that. So we do breakfast, lunch, and a snack in the mid-afternoon. I'm requiring you to ask a question just because you look really sleepy. The back row guy is about to sleep. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. You said, seriously, man, I don't want to. Go ahead. But you got to speak louder.
I was wondering how you dealt with families and people, kids who came to you, obviously trying to take advantage of your services that you provide. How do you turn people away? We're obviously just.
I thought you were. What?
No, I said it like a weird way.
No, you didn't. What she said was, how do you deal with people who can come to you? How do you deal with families and or kids that, who are coming to you and have a tendency to take advantage of you? And I'm thinking, is she talking about my family? It sounds like my teenagers, my house and my wife. What are you talking about? How do you know us? Are you what? I know what? The lady calls me up, literally, the lady calls me up yesterday. I'm sorry, for those of you that I mentioned it, I'm just going to, just a little statement. I do pastor a church. And it's really interesting when people find out I'm the Coalition for Kids guy, I pastor a church, they will come to my church so that they can come to the Coalition for Kids and ask for money. They come to the church to try to tell me, oh, you've got a great church, I really love it, can you help me? You know what my answer is? No, I really can't. But really, I take them on one at a time, and this is the truth. I take every single case on one at a time. When it comes to families in need, if my staff know them, and my staff know their history, and my staff, because that's a real key. The biggest key in making a difference in those families' lives, that's bigger than what we do here. Now, two things. One is, we have to keep our focus on what our goals are. The coalition, or we will try to fix the world, and we will not be good at it. When we try to help the moms and dads, and we try to help the family, and we try to help the living conditions, and we try to help all that, we get really wide, and I think the wider you get, the thinner you get. And I want to be really deep, and so we stay focused. We do homework. We do education. We do kids. We do not do parents. But if you, as my staff, want to help those parents, you are more than welcome to. You can counsel them, you can sit with them, you can be their friend, but we ain't doing parenting class. We're not, and so a family will, the dad will leave, this is just true stories that I've just experienced, the dad will leave and leave the family with nothing in an apartment, with absolutely, he'll take it all just to go. And the work will come through my staff and to me, and I'll simply put the word out to all my contacts, and we will begin to influx them with support in some form. But the Coalition for Kids does not do anything except the best we can, and I just happen to have been around. Let me tell you, there's something big about being here for a long period of time. You want to know how to create regional support? That was one of the terms we used for this very setting. It's be somewhere for some time. You can't just walk in and gain credibility. It'll never happen. But if you show sustainability and you show credibility through time, people will expect you and respect you by responding when you have an issue. And so that's what we tend to do. When people have an issue, when I deal with folks that I simply think I'm really told about it. Because I am on a list. I've learned the system. I'm simply on a list. I just tell them no. I can't help. And I tell them where they can go get help. And they'll always give me a reason for why they won't help me. And I go, I know, there's a reason. They have criteria in place. And so we just move on. We used to bother me, doesn't bother me anymore. No, not a lack of compassion, just a clearing of what I'm here to do. Questions? Sleepy guy in the back? Still not got anything? All right, you're going to throw it out. Go ahead.
I'll give you one. So what's the age limit on these children? What age range are we talking?
First to 8th grade, so 6 to 13, 14 years old. We just went to 7th grade last year. We just started 8th grade this year. We're considering 9th grade next year. I'll go where I'm going to go now, and I'll take your question first. So first to 8th grade is kind of the path. I'm considering going to the 9th grade. When we got two future perspectives, we got multiple. One is, do we go to the 12th grade and or through college? No longer can you take a kid. You all know this, right? You tell me I'm right. I need you to tell me I'm right. You're okay when I tell you this. Okay? No longer does a kid who's in high school want to come to an after-school program 5 days a week, right? Right. And that's not going to happen, right? I can go to the mall. I can go anywhere I want to go, right? We're in Johnson City. We're not in the inner city of Atlanta. I went to the inner city of Atlanta. I went to a school that has, I don't know, they have 600 kids after school that don't leave the building. You know why? Because you wouldn't walk 100 feet. It was so horrid outside. My kids in Johnson City, that's upper class, dude. Compared to that, our kids get out of school, they can walk to the mall, right? You can go anywhere you want to go. So I got a competition to be able to impact the kid in high school that needs help just because I need to be able to get them somewhere where they're willing to go and want to go. That ain't easy when you can go anywhere you want to in Johnson City and not have a big issue. Because your friends will give you a ride. So we're trying to figure out how do we get a kid to stay in a program in the 9th grade, or 10th through 12, so that we can push them into a college and walk with them. Right now, it's through the concept of social workers, which we call mentors. At this point, it's the volunteers. My future, I'd love to call them social workers, where they were on staff for us, and they had 5 to 10 kids each that they were walking with every week, meeting with one-on-one, occasionally having a group gathering. By the time they're juniors, somebody's already helping them with how to do their FAFSA and get them into a college and walking with them through college. Because the only way you will get a kid to get them broken from their generational path, which you've heard that term, I'm sure, forever, into a new path, is if you get them to divorce the thinking of their parents. I'm not condemning the parents. I'm saying that the parents' thinking will have a tendency to condemn the child. They will say things like, for example, we took a child in when she was a sophomore in high school. The reason we took her in is because she came to stay the night with my third kid. My third kid's 20. So this was only about 5 years ago. So she comes to stay the night with my third kid, and you know how long she stayed with us? 3 years. Because her dad had custody, her mom was a lowlife, and I mean a lowlife. I mean, her mom had 5 kids, 3 different dads, no husbands, drug addict, stole money from her kids, couldn't ever stay anywhere anytime because she was constantly going in and out of jail. Her own daughter was now 14, who had just had a baby a couple of years ago, and she would make her kids stay silent in their house with no electricity in the wintertime and not answer the door so DHS wouldn't find out that she's got kids that could be taken from her after she's already lost 3. Let me tell you more stories. It's a great place to work.
So, I hope you guys are making the connection to public health on this, and literacy and the impact of family on public health. So I guess my question, Randy, where can we come in? What can our students do? What can we, what opportunities are there for them, either through internships, volunteer work, or maybe employment? What is there?
Moving us that way. We've got 55 staff and about 600 to 800 volunteers a year. We love when interns walk in our program. Now, you can do a whole lot of different projects or programs on your own if you come in and say, you know, I want to be an intern in your facility, for whether you're working directly with kids doing a specific reading project or a program that you want to do. Now, I've clearly said that we want to start some new things such as smoking cessation impact, nutrition, obesity prevention, and a specific reading program. What I shared with Colin and Dr. Wyckoff, which he came to our board at a board meeting and spoke once, was the fact that we're looking at a partnership that is going to address every child who cannot read in Washington County in first, second, third grade. That is approximately, potentially, up to 800 kids that cannot read in the third grade. At third grade scale in Washington County. 42% of the kids cannot read in third grade. Now, you do understand that up to third grade, you are learning to read, and after third grade, you are reading to learn. So if you cannot read by third grade, you are starting to go backwards at 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. By 7th grade, when people talk about how tough it is, if you haven't been reading well for 4 years, you are now going way backwards. And at that point, graduating high school is not really exciting, nor does it matter a whole lot. And when you don't graduate high school, I heard a really good speaker one time tell us that you will literally earn $1 million less in your lifetime and live 7 years less in this 8-county region. If you're going to call him old, you better brag about it. I was just kidding.
Do you think that if kids that go to high school can't get a scholarship for it from college?
As you well know already, every kid, if I can push them into vocational school, community school, can even now, with nothing, get a scholarship. The issue is, I've got to get back to your question, my answer, my finish. But the issue is not whether they can get a scholarship. Here's what takes place. Unfortunately, if you can't get them to mentally disengage from the thinking of their parents, I put this kid in college. She was my child's roommate in Nashville. They were living there, and by the end of the first semester, the mom landed on the doorstop with everything she owned in the car, like she always does, and her 14-year-old, 15-year-old daughter with granddaughter, and said, honey, you've got to come back home and get a job. And guilt makes the child go back because mom has done so much, and she can come back here, got a job, and started giving her money back to her mom. It never went well after that. What we want to do is thank you, doctor. By the way, God bless you for everything you do. What we want to do is go in Washington County and put a program in every single county elementary school there is, that's 10. That means that I have to hire 130 folks to come on board. That means that I have, right now we have an executive director, I've got an assistant, I've got a program director that is in charge of anything that's got to do with kids. I've got a full-time grant writer, I've I've got to hire somebody to work with her. I've got a full-time director of finance. I've got a full-time fundraiser and events coordinator. I've got to hire somebody to work with her. I've got my program director. I've got to hire 2 more of those. So we're literally going really wide. I'm hiring an HR person. Y'all know what that is? Human resource people. Hiring a human resource person to come on board with us full-time. So we're going to grow really wide, but I've got to hire at least 100 people that are going to work hands-on with kids. Guess where I'm going to get them? Really, I've already made a partnership with ETSU, Dr. Nolan, and Milligan College. Because the worst thing we've ever done is hire people off the street to come and work with our kids compared to hiring folks who want to make a difference in their future, like interns like you, who can do a semester with us, and or like education majors, and or like social work majors, and or like what. And so make a relationship with the college that we can get you positioned in a place where you go, I love working with kids. I think I want to be a teacher. I love working as the assistant to the grant writer. This is what I think I want. I love working in the marketing department. I love working in the HR department. I love working as a supervisor to people who work with kids because I'm really good at leadership like that. Some are, some not. Or you can learn to get so much. And so we need you filing into our place as we walk into this. We're about 9 months away from that.
Okay, you mentioned that you don't keep the kids. So how do you handle cases of like kids that do not have where to go?
Ask me that again.
I said, how do you handle kids that do not have like a place to stay?
You talking about home after they leave us?
Yeah.
As far as homeless goes, now we work with the homeless of Johnson City, the program that works with kids who are homeless. But honestly, I don't have kids that are truly homeless, as in without a home. If I know about it, I've got to report it, and they've got to be dealt with. Somebody's got to come in and take them. So either a parent will not tell me if they're homeless, or if they are homeless, they literally disappear out of our program. Because a parent normally is homeless because they're not paying rent, they owe somebody money, and they will move from Johnson City to Jonesboro. I had a kid who moved to 10 schools in 1 school year. And every time they'd moved, every other time, I'll say it that way, they landed in our program. And we'd say, hey, Johnny, kind of thing. No, just because mama couldn't pay the bills, had too many kids, or whatever, their life situation was. It's not a negative. It's just it was a bad situation. So we don't deal, I really don't see a homeless situation amongst our demographic that we deal with. But I do deal with the homeless community as far as organizations go, and they send their homeless kids to us, which means there are people who are considered homeless, but in housing, because you're homeless if you don't have the same housing for 3 months, that are in housing that will send their kids to us for us to help them. But we don't deal with any kids who are literally without a home. Because you got to turn, I don't mean that ugly, but you got to turn those in. You got to call DHS. You can't be without a home. You can't live in your car and me not say nothing. It's against the law.
You mentioned teen pregnancy several times this morning. I know it impacted your watch. Do you all do any programs there for kids in the middle school?
In what category?
6 to 8 grade, I guess.
No, I mean, I mentioned something.
Teen pregnancy.
Oh, okay, teen pregnancy. No. We haven't up to this point that I know of. I will be honest with you, my organization has grown large enough to where I will not know all the details because I'm not a micromanager, and I would tell you that's a good thing. That our staff do programs all the time that I don't know all the programs that go on. I may go back and say, hey, did we do anything in that? But our 7th and 8th graders are new. That's a brand new 1-year-old program. And I could see us going to that instantly, without a problem whatsoever. But 5th and 6th graders, we haven't done it. I don't think we've done anything like that at that point in time. So yes. That's affected my life to a degree that literally I got my wife pregnant when she was 18 years old. And that's how we met almost 29 years ago, and ended up getting married and stayed married a couple times. Well, we divorced after 3 years because we both had affairs on each other. And then we remarried, and I took the 2-year-old at the time and kept her for the next 3 years. And then she came back up here after I moved up here, and we remarried after that. So we sat together off and on for 28 years. We're just normal people. I know you think so much different because we're at that, but they're really not that cool. I'm telling you. Who else? Go ahead.
Do you ever have like foster families who will bring the kids back to the programs voluntarily, or would they be in a different like fee category since they had basically like the foster parents income?
We don't. I don't know that I get kids that come back when they hit high school and they'll pull in, just got their driver's license, 16 years old. He was in our program. Matter of fact, he was in our first grade program. And at the time we went through 6, so when he got out, when he turned like a sophomore in high school or something like that, somewhere around there, he pulled in our parking lot a little too fast, and got out, and he had a grin from ear to ear. I said, dude, what are you doing? He said, just wanted to come back, got my driver's license, say, hey, what's up? And I said, what's going on in your world? So a year later, we found out that he's getting ready he got a full ride scholarship at Milligan College in business management because he started in a dance class in our program in the first through 6th grade. When he left that 6th grade class, he stayed with that dance instructor who was out of Jonesboro, and they got him to where his scholarship was oriented to cheerleading at Milligan College because he stayed in that dance program. So that was kind of a cool story, at which he is now working for me.
So,
Yes.
one last question. What are the challenges you are faced with the kids, and how did you handle them, and what are the ones that you are facing?
One of the challenges that we face with kids, the little suckers don't mind worth a dime. Oh, you thought it was going to be an educational statement, right? No. I mean, that's it. They don't have boundaries in their lives when they go home. They don't have support like many of us know support is intended to impact you. And so we have to realign them literally every day. You know what? The school system will call us, and I'll walk in a school building in the principal's office, and they'll have a kid sitting in the floor up against the wall because nobody knows what to do with him. And then they send him to us. And we ain't experts, don't get me wrong, but we can love him differently, it seems, than the school can, because the school don't have time to stop because they got 25 kids and not enough staff, and one teacher to the 25, and we have 3, 4, or 5. And we do stop, and we do sit, and we do learn that last night that child stayed up most of the night because the boyfriend, who was drunk and wild and had people over, and made the kids stand outside with no socks on waiting for the bus in a winter's night. Am I done? And I said y'all felt safe here, right? Are you kidding me? Yo.
I'm starting like a big growth program where like kids come in, like older kids come in and like help them just get research.
Yeah, Big Brothers Big Sisters concept, you mean mentoring older kids, younger kids. Matter of fact, we literally do mentoring programs for both our 5th and 6th graders, which we call lunch buddies, which means if you were to come to us, one of the places you could support would be, we would give you a kid to go eat lunch with every week at the intermediate school in Indian Trail, or you could be a mentor to a kid that's 7th or 8th grade, as far as that goes. So we do both those, but they're also both brand new, literally not fully kicked off yet. We just put those both into action because we think that that relationship is huge as they get older.
I was just wondering if your staff undergoes any training for reporting or report for use or
Required every year, the CFCC, which is a state-led organization that does any child care licensed facility for free. So we get all our training for free in that regard. When it comes to safe touch, when it comes to abuse, we also do hours and hours and hours of training. We get the school system to give us some of their training. We do outside training that we bring in everything from fluency and vocabulary training, special programs with that to how to restrain a child. Because we get that on a regular basis, where you have to figure out how to restrain a child. So it's kind of a broad picture. But we are looking for you, and again, I'm referencing back to the relationship. We are looking for you to say, I'd love to work in a place like that for a period of time, come and volunteer, or be an intern, or get a job, or do all those at the same time. Because we will never be with everybody we need. We're always in need. All clear.
How many hours do you work?
I work about 80. But that's because I have 2 jobs and kids. My staff, I literally will say that most of my staff, 80% of my staff are part-time guys. The hands-on guys with kids, that's our academic tutors, they will come in at 2:30 and work with kids till 5:30. So they'll get about 15 hours. Unless they work that evening program, and they can get up to 25. If you're a supervisor of those, if you're a supervisor of those, then you can get up to 30 and some more. Okay, so you get to be full-time. That's when you get vacation and sick pay and all that fun stuff, because that's all anybody wants to talk about. When can I get off? And so they get vacation and sick pay, and gosh, I'm full-time, and that's cool. And then there's what I call leadership, which are 40-hour-a-week folks that kind of are salaried folks, and we have a lot of different core values that say you're required to work whatever it takes when big projects show up, and you will also get to go home when your kid's sick or when you're sick, and I won't say a word to you. I just expect your job to get done. We have a big level of trust that goes on with our leadership, that I know their work's going to get done, and so we don't micromanage. We do evaluate on a regular basis, but we don't micromanage. But really, I'm a 7-day-a-weeker, so I'm kind of working 40 to 65 or so hours. I work from 9 to 9. This is really early for me because I quit going to work early a couple years ago. I just don't do it anymore because I work so late at night time. Yes, sir.
I know you said the program was free, but you said you guys have some kind of payment system going. So what's the rate for that? How much is that?
The fee system is a state created fee system. So literally, if you got on the internet and looked up Department of Human Services, they have a fee system that's set up according to how much income you earn. I would tell you that 84% of my parents make under $20,000. Of those 84%, if you split that in half and just said about 42%, 42% would make, it's really 41 and 43, but 41% make under $10,000 a year, and 43% I think make 20 and under. So 85% of my families earn $20,000 or less, which means no matter what, you don't have to pay for anything, anywhere, anytime. When it comes down to it, especially in a program like ours. Did you have a question?
Yeah. So you have 6 kids, and you're a minister, and you run this program. Where do you find time, or how do you take care of all yourself personally?
Well, I go to the gym 3 to 5 days a week. Surely you can tell. That's kind of an ugly question there. No, I think that people are made different. I'm made with a high wire. I also think that the concept of too much work and not enough play and all that stuff, I think it's for the birds. Here's what I've learned in my time of life, is that when you love what you do, burnout is not as common. Burnout comes when you don't love what you do, and it's kind of a rough place to have to work, and you still have to do it. But when you really love what you do, and I'm telling you, I've never gotten up a day in my life in this job and not wanted to go to work. With the worst conversations I've had to have with firing somebody, with having a horrible conversation with a child or a parent, I've never not wanted to go to work. Now, let me tell you something. That kind of peace in your spirit, in your being, when you do that every day, and you find that place, and it's rare. I hate it for you, but most of you ain't going to find it. And it takes years. It took me until 18 years ago. But the deal was, up until that time, I'd opened up 6 different companies. And what I knew I was good at was entrepreneur. It was opening something. It was managing people. And I love serving people. So I was always doing the same thing, just a different category. And I always loved it. It's just I didn't like the making money thing. I liked the serving people part. But I wanted to figure out how to make money and serve people all at the same time, so I became a preacher. Just kidding. Just kidding. The lie is a lie. Please send your offerings. Anyway, I promise I'll help the poor, I promise. Not poor kids. So really, it's just totally oriented around discipline, nothing more. I live by this. I mean, every workout I do is in here, every phone call I make is on a calendar. I calendar every single thing I live by. If you tell me I need to do something, it's on my calendar, and I literally will schedule my private time, my family time, my kid time, my ball game time. Everything I do is on my calendar, and I consider it to be a 7-day a week. I don't take days off. I take time off when time shows up, and I schedule it. But I'm in control of all that. It doesn't control me.
You said you do like the safe touch, abuse, those things. Do you ever have kids like voluntarily come to you and tell you that stuff? Like if they take the class and they're like, hey, this is what's going on at home, or do you just have to like invert it and just watch it?
And we'll end with this. We'll end with this question. 2 months ago, I got a phone call, and it said the police are here at the coalition, and it was about 7 o'clock. We were heading to a dinner, me and my wife, but it was a United Way dinner, so it was still a show up and shake hand thing anyway. And so we were heading to a dinner, and my office calls and says the police are here, 4 cop cars, and a dad who has gone nuts on my staff. Okay? And I'm the bouncer, just so you know. I have a couple different jobs. One is I ain't afraid of whipping somebody. Yeah, I'm just a different kind of preacher, just so you know. So literally, we got there, and what we found was, to your question, a lady had written in her book that she wanted to tell a staff person at the coalition that she was afraid she was going to be raped. And so that was written in a journal that we had. And so we called the parents. Now this had been 2 days prior. We called the parents, told them what was going on. And on this day, the parent came in and wanted the journal that we had. And my staff wouldn't give it to him, which wasn't the right decision. But they wouldn't give it to him, and he went nuts. So he called the police and told the police that his daughter was being raped at the Coalition for Kids. That's how we got 4 cop cars there. Which I knew all the cops, so it's his bad luck. They were all my friends. And so that's how they came. That's why there were 4. And then they got the real story, which he was mad because he wanted a journal. Now I'm just going to say this out loud. My thinking, as a dad, if I find out my daughter's writing about the potential of being raped, my anger is not going to be about getting her journal back unless it's got something to do with me and her journal. But see, here's the issue. I can't do anything else about it. I may never see that kid again. I'm sorry, let me take that back. I won't ever see that kid again because I took that kid out of the program just like that. You know why? Because that's what happens when you get into people's private life. And things aren't going on and people know what is going on. You will lose those kids just like that, so you have to make a decision. What do? Do I keep them in, work with them, or do I tell? Well, I don't have an option. We have to say that over and over and over and over. You don't have an option, you don't have an option, you don't have an option. You are a criminal if you do not tell. And so we tell. And we lose. Never see it again. So all I can do, thank God I pray. That's all I can do.
I really don't want to stop this. I hope you guys.
There's some humor to it.
I hope you guys sense how powerful this is. Public health, we have a lot of opportunity. So we just felt, I guess, your time, better stick to our time. If anybody wants, I don't know if you've got time.
I do.
If anybody wants to stay
I don't have anything to do.
Let's give a round of applause.